Hey guys, hope you're doing good. In this video, you're gonna see a step-by-step guide for beginners about Pinnacle Studio. So we begin with the content. So we have the before you start abbreviation and the conventions, buttons and menus, dialog boxes and windows, help and tool tips, finding your version, information, upgrading. So for the first chapter, we have the using Pinnacle Studio, the importer, the exporter, the central tabs, the library, the next steps, the movie editor and disk editor, the media editors, the player, the Pinnacle Studios projects. For the chapter number 2, we have the library, adding assets to a project, correcting media files, instant gratification, smart movie, understanding the library, the navigator, the project bins, collections, favorites, managing library assets, the browser, thumbnails and details, optional indicators and controls, the library preview, choosing what to display in the library, tags, correcting media, video scene detection, smart movie. For the chapter number 3, which is the movie editor, the compact library, previewing the project and the project editors, the project timeline, the timeline toolbar, the timeline track header, editing movies, the title editor, score filter, voiceover of the deleting the clip operations, using the clipboard, speed, movies within movies, transitions, clip effects, also the clip context menus. For the chapter number 4, which is corrections of the media editing overview, photo editing tools, correcting photos, red eye, correcting video tools, video corrections, stabilize, correcting audio. Chapter number 5, it's about effects. So effects in the media editors, effects on the timeline, the settings panel, working with key frames, video and photo effects, working with the transitions, pan and zoom. Chapter 6, which is about montage, the montage section of the library, use the montage templates, montage clips on the timeline, anatomy of a template, montage editing, using the montage editor. For the chapter number 7, which is the title editor, launching and leaving the title editor, library, the presets selector, the preset looks, the preset motions. Also we have creating and editing titles, background settings. As you can see, return to the chapter. So we are in the chapter number 7. So the title editor, launching and leaving the title editor, library, preset selector, preset looks. We have the preset motions, the creating and editing titles, background setting, look settings, the edit window, text and edit settings, titles and stereoscopic 3D, the layer lists, working with the layer list, working with layer groups. For chapter number 8, which is sound and music, so we have the audio editor, audio corrections, audio effects, audio on the timeline audio functions, audio creations, creation tools, score filter, the voiceover tool, using audio ducking to automatically adjust volume. Chapter number 9, which is disk projects, so we have disk menus, adding disk menus, previewing disk menus, menu editing on the timeline menu markers, authoring tools, the chapter wizard, the menu editor, menu buttons, the disk simulator. For chapter number 10, which is the importer, using the importer panels, the importer to the import to panel, the mode panel, the compression options window, scene detection options window, the metadata panel, the file name panel, selecting assets for import, selecting files for import, customizing the browser, adjusting the imported file date and time, scan for assets, import from a DV or HDV camera, import from analog sources, import from DVD or Blu-ray disc, import from digital cameras, stop motion, snapshot. For the chapter number 11, which is the exporter, so output to disk memory card, output to file, output to cloud, output to a device, output to my DVD file. For the chapter number 12, which is setup, so watch folders, audio device, event login, export and preview, import, keyboard, project settings, storage locations, reset, restore purchase. For chapter number 13, which is screen capture, so starting a screen capture project, recording your screen. Chapter 14, which is multi-camera editing, so the multi-camera editor workspace, basic steps in multi-camera editing, importing video and audio clips into the multi-camera editor, synchronizing video and audio clips in multi-camera projects, choosing an audio source for your multi-camera project, editing multi-clips to create a multi-camera compilation, adding picture in picture, so PIP in the multi-camera editor, managing multi-camera source files, saving and exporting your multi-camera project, using smart proxy for a faster, smoother editing experience. Appendix A, so troubleshooting, contacting support forums, top support issues, capture hardware compatibility, serial number information, error or cache while installing, hangs or crashes while launching, troubleshooting software crashes. Case 1, we have studio crashes randomly. Case 2, studio crashes after a user action. Case 3, which is studio crashes repeatedly. Export problems, disk playback problems. Also we have the appendix B, so videography, creating a shooting plan, editing, rules of thumb for video editing, soundtrack production, title. Appendix C, which is glossary. Appendix D, which is keyboard shortcuts, general shortcuts, library, playing and transport, importer, movie interface, media editors, title editor. Appendix E, then installation manager before you begin. So also you upgrade your upgrade installation, launching the installation manager, registration, supporting installations, the welcome screen, common controls, installing plugins and bonus content, system requirements. So if we begin with the first chapter, which is chapter number 1, using Pinnacle Studio. So for simple outline of the digital movie making process, you don't have to look any further than the central tab group of Pinnacle Studio's main window, so which is this one. The same steps apply to any type of production, from pretentious slides show with dissolves between each frame to 3D extravaganza containing hundreds of carefully arranged clips and effects. So as you can see here, so this is the Pinnacle Studios main controls bar. Summarizes the movie making process. For the importer, so import on the right, which is this one, is preparatory step. It involves procedures like capturing video from your analog or DV camcorder, bringing in photos from a digital camera, and copying media files to your local hard drive from a network location. The Pinnacle Studio Importer provides tools for this tasks, along with the snapshot feature for grabbing frames from video files and the stop motion tool for building a video frame by frame. See chapter 10, the importer on page 291 for detail. File menu, import commands. Choose an import, which is this one from the file menu, has the same effect as clicking the import tab. It opens the importer. The menu provides three other importer related choices as well. Each of this opens a Windows file dialog to permit import of files from hard drive or other local storage. Import previous Pinnacle Studio projects lets you load movie projects created with earlier versions of Studio. Import Studio for iPad app projects lets you bring in projects exported from Studio's companion app for the iPad. Quick import lets you directly select ordinary media files, photo, video, audio, and project for import. So this is the Studio importer. We have also the exporter. So the exporter at the other end of the movie making process is export. So by the time you get to the stage, the hard part of the task is behind you. The creative energy that went into making your movie has paid off in production that now lacks only one ingredient: an audience. So as you can see here, so this is the Studio Exporter. So the Pinnacle Studio Exporter helps you over that last hurdle with tools for taking your movie to its viewer, however and wherever they might be. Create a digital movie file in the format of your choice, burn a DVD or upload directly to destinations in the cloud like YouTube and Vimeo, or to your personal cloud-based storage area like the importer. Like exporter opens in a separate window and returns to the main window after it's worked. It's done. See chapter 11, the exporter, on page 337 to learn more. We have also the central tabs. So the three central tabs, which is the library, movie, and disk, are where most of your work in Pinnacle Studio takes place. So the first of this opens the main view of the library where you can curate your media collections. The other tabs open the two project editors, one for digital movies and the other for disk projects, which are digital movies enhanced with interactively in the form of DVD menus. We have also the library. So the library is cataloging and management tool for all the file-based resources or assets that you can uh, draw on when authoring almost all of the materials of your movie, video footage, music, and audio files, and many specialized resources such as transitions and effects originate as assets in the library. Many library assets are supplied with the Pinnacle Studio and are available for royalty-free use. This includes professionally designed titles, DVD menus, sound effects, and more. The library uses projects bins to organize assets. Project bins are virtual folders. Your assets, they are created automatically during import, and you can create them manually to organize your assets according to your needs. For example, by project, you can also use watch folders to automatically monitor and import media files that are added to the folders. We choose to watch for information about activated watch folders. See watch folders on page also 359. When you use watch folders, library media branch is added to the asset tree. In the library, you will also see a library media branch. If Pinnacle Studio detects library from a previous version of Pinnacle Studio, you must enable watch folders if you want to continue populating this branch. For the main view, when you click the library tab, the library takes over the main window. The main view gives you spacious access to a number of cataloging and search tools, including those for categorizing assets by means of ratings and tags, those for creating underdefined collections. Compact view. So the compact view, as you can see here, the compact view of the library squeezes virtually the whole functionality of the main view into a panel embedded within certain other windows, such as the movie editor and the disk editor. The primary purpose of the compact view is to allow assets to be brought into a movie or a disk project from the library by a drag and drop, as you can see here. So the menu view of the library consists of navigation controls for exploring media assets left, and the browser for examining and selecting assets, which is right. For the player, the tools available from within the library include the player, a viewer that works for all media types, handled by the application when used from the main view of the library. The player opens in a separate window when the compact library is used. The embedded version of the player appears in the same window. For more information, see the player on page 14. So for the previewing the library video asset in the Zable player window with full transport controls, including shutter, where you can keep working in the main window while the pop-up player is open. For comprehensive coverage of the library and its uses, please see Chapter 2, which is the library, on page 17. So we have the next step. The next step, once you know your way around the library and have made any changes needed to the default setup, it's to start to start creating a movie. There are two ways to go about this. So the usual way, if you want to exert detailed control over the way media assets are used in a production, you usually start building your movie or disk project from scratch in one of the two project editors. These are described below. So the easiest way, which is for ultra quick results, the library offers another way. Click in Smart Movie at the bottom of the library main view opens an extra tray of controls. With either of these, you select some visual media assets to serve as the basics of the project. Choose music for soundtrack and make a handful of other customizations. Then the software takes over, automatically generating a full-scale Pinnacle Studio project containing the media and options requested. You can export the project immediately or edit it further by hand as you choose. For more information, see Instant Gratification Smart Movie on page 90. So for the movie editor and the disk editor, once you have gathered your materials together and organized them to your satisfaction in the library, it's time to get to work on a video or a slideshow. If you are working on a disk production, specifically, you can immediately start work in the disk editor, which is just like the movie editor, but has extra tools for creating and setting up DVD menus. For more information, see Chapter 9 Disk Projects on page 267. If you aren't planning, if if you aren't planning on creating a disc, uh, or aren't sure, or if disk is only one of the output media you are targeting, the movie editor is the right place to start. Once your movie is completed, you can export it into the disk editor and add in the menus. The movie editor and the disk editor exists slide by slide, but apart from the export feature just mentioned, they do not interact. Or if you want, you can have a regular movie project and a disk project loaded simultaneously and switch from one to another at will. So in both the movie editor and the disk editor, multi-track timeline, as you can see here, occupies the lower part of the display. Most of the clips on the timeline come from the library. A few types like automatic background music are generated with special tools. Both projects where editors include embedded versions of the library and the player in addition to the timeline display. To build the project, drag assets from the compare library onto the timeline tracks, where they are known as clips. Both the movie editor and the disk editor can be used with the stereoscopic 3D as well as 2D materials. So for the preview type, control above the player lets you switch between viewing the current library assets, which is the source, and the current timeline clip. And the disk editor and additional preview type, which is the menu, lets you use the player as an editor for linking disk menus for points on the project timeline editing, a central activity in the project authoring. Chapter 3, the movie editor on page 59. The media editors. Additional windows are often needed for working with the particular types or media. In general, you can open an editor window appropriate to any asset or clip by double-clicking the item. And for the which is the media, for the corrections from the library. So the editors for the standard media types for of video, photo, and audio are particularly important when invoked from the library by double-clicking an asset. Each of these editors provides a suite of correction tools appropriate to its media type. These tools can be applied directly to library assets in order to remove camera shakes from video, train unwanted material from a photo, or suppress audio, as to give just a few examples. When a correction is applied to a library asset, the media file is not modified. Instead, the correction parameters are saved in the library database. They can be altered at any time or removed as you needs dictate. The corrections you make in the library are brought with the asset when you add it to your project timeline as a clip. Corrections from the timeline when you open one of the timeline media editors by double clicking at a timeline clip. The correction tools are again available, although in this case they apply only to the clip in the project, not the underlying library asset. For the transitions and effects when they are invoked from the project timeline. The media editors also offer effects which cover a wide range of enhancements in all three media types in the transition in, transition out, and effects groups. Transitions lets you punctuate the passage of one clip to the next with anything from a barely perceptible dissolve to an audience awaken flare. Effects range from the practical brightness and contrast to the theatrical fractal fire. Effects can be animated with keyframed parameter changes to any degree of complexity. They provide innumerable ways to add creative interest to your productions. Some effects are particularly designed for 3D material. Pan and zoom, the photo editor provides one more tool, pan and zoom, of its own, like the effect just discussed. Pan and zoom can be animated with keyframes and to create any desired combination of stimulated pan and zoom camera moves within the boundaries of a single photo. So also for more information about correction tools and the media editors, see chapter 4 corrections on page 123 and chapter 5 effects on page 149. So for the player is a preview screen which you can examine library media, play back your movie, project, work on disk menus, and much more in each window or context in which it is used. The player exhibits somewhat different controls for introduction to the player and its basic controls. So please see the library preview on page 40 for the use of the player in tray mode on the timeline. See clip operations on page 91 for information on using the player with montage. See using the montage editor on page 186 for the use of the player in editing disk menus. Also see preview disk menus on page 275. For the Pinnacle Studio projects, the movies and discs that you create in Pinnacle Studio are distilled from the projects that you built on the timeline, the movie editor or the disk editor. To manage projects, Studio must keep tracks of everything that goes onto your timeline and all the editing decisions you make with regards to trimming, adding effects, and much more. Much of this information is stored in the project file, which is AXP Studio Movie format. In order to conserve hard drive space, when dealing with the files that can be very large, the project file does not include the media items in your movie. For this, only their location in the library is stored. The AXP project file is the default file format for the file. Open file, save, and the file save as menu comments may be the only one you need. Sometimes, however, it's convenient to have all the resources required for a project gathered into a single manageable unit for hassle-free archiving, file transfer, or upload. This is the purpose of an alternative file format, the AXX Studio Projects package, which contains in a single file all the materials or project issues, including media items of necessity. Files in the formats are considerably larger than the standard project files. Although it's not possible to directly edit a project in the package format, Pinnacle Studio lets you open a project package with file open by selecting AXX in the file extension box. Studio seamlessly unpacks the project, creates a new library entry for the unpacked version, and opens it for editing. If you create a multi-camera project in the multi-camera editor, the project is saved as a MCAM file. When you add an MCAM file to the timeline, it's added as a single track by default. You can expand it by right-clicking the file in the timeline and choosing edit movie. So moving to the chapter number 2, which is the library. So the Pinnacle Studio library displayed when you click the organize tab is a, is a cataloging and management tool for all the file-based resources you can draw on when you author it. Its purpose is to let you choose and you use the video segments, photos, some bits, transition effects, titles, and other assets, as they are often called, for your movies are easily, rapidly, and intuitively as possible. So we have here, as you can see here, the Pinnacle Studio Library. So the library's classification scheme resembles what you might see in the file system viewer, where the viewer groups files under their physical storage locations, such as hard drives. Library groups assets under their type, video, photos, and so on. In other aspects, the three-view concept for accessing subgroups of assets is virtually identical and should feel immediately familiar. In addition to audio, photo, and video files in standard formats, the library includes specialized auxiliary media like titles and disk menus. They are found along with transitions, filters, and other effects in the main category called content. Content library can easily manage large file media holdings such such as are often found nowadays even on a home system. All of the dozens of media files types uh, disabled in Pinnacle Studio can be browsed, organized, and previewed within its integrated interface. As you can see here, assets are displayed either as icons or text records within collapsible folders that stack up in the library browser. The folders may correspond either to real directories in your computer's file system or to virtual grouping based on ratings, file type, creation date, or a membership in a user-defined collection. Uh, Moving to adding assets to a project, to views uh, two views of the libraries are found in Pinnacle Studio. The main view takes over the application window when you click the Organize tab. If it uses the full available space to provide as much information as possible. As you can see here, so to open the main library view, click the Organize tab at the top of the Pinnacle Studio application window. So the compact view of the library is a panel, as you can see here, either docked, as in the movie and disk project editors, or floating, as the title editors. The compact view retains the full functionality of the library. Its primary purpose is to allow you to bring library assets into a movie or disk project with drag and drop. The current set of library tabs and the contents of the browser are common to all views of the library. For instance, if you are browsing in a particular folder of the disk menus in the main view, that same folder will be open in the compact view if you now switch to the movie editor. Correcting media files with regard to technical quality, media files are not all created equal. Occasionally, you do come across the perfect photo, clip, or sound effect, or even thought the photo needs cropping. The video is shaky, or the sound starts with an annoying hiss. Pinnacle Studios media correction tools lets you fix this and similar issues by applying correction filters to a problem clip after you have placed placed it on the timeline of your project. Often, however, an even better solution is to apply the correction to the library asset itself before adding to the adding it to a project. That's why any production uses not an asset they will start with the corrected version, not the an satisfactory original. Such corrections can quickly be made by opening media editors from the library. The file underlying the corrected asset is not modified. Instead, the correction parameters are stored in the library database and reapplied whenever the item is displayed or used. For the instant gratification smart movie, so in addition to the core functions mentioned so far, the library offers a matching pair of tools for automatically constructing a complete project using media resources. You specify, just select some photos or video sequences, enter a few settings, and start. You can output the uh, you can output, as you can see here, correcting media files. With regard to technical quality, media files are not all created equal. Occasionally, you do come across the perfect photo, clip, or sound effect. More often, thought the photo needs cropping. The video is shaky, as you can see here. For the understanding the library, so the studio library lets you manage and efficiently use the entire pool of media and other assets available for use in your productions. So what exactly does the library contain? So the full range of assets that you can draw on for your project is summarized by the four main branches of the asset tree. Each branch is further divided into more specialized subsections. The project beans branch organizes your imported media in virtual folders by default. The folders are labeled according to import date, but you can right click a folder to rename it, and you can click the create a new project bin button to add a new bin. For the library, media branch appears only if you enable watch folder, or if your current versions of Pinnacle Studio detects a previous library. See watch folders on page 359. In most cases, project bins can be used instead of the library media branch. So the library media branch contains the standard media files on your system in subsections named photos, videos, and audio. Many standard file types are supported. The purpose of the fourth subsection, missing media, is described below. So the project's range of the asset 3 contains your own Pinnacle Studios movie and disk projects. You can open a project right from the library and begin editing it, or you can add it to the timeline of another project to serve as an ordinary clip. For the collections are custom groupings of library media. The more time you spend on media management, the more you will probably use the collections. They can serve as the temporary holding places while you work, or for classifying and setting aside media for later use. Corrections may be automatically generated, but most are user defined. Yeah. Hierarchically organized collections also supported. The top level collections in the hierarchy are sub, uh, subs, uh, subsections of the collections branch. The content branch is either a type of special effects and transitions, or a special media type ready to use. Royalty-free collections of all 7 types are included with the Pinnacle Studio. As you can see here, we have the project pins, projects, collections, content. So we have the effects, transitions, sound effects, montage, sound, stage, and titles. So moving to the storage of library assets. Every asset in the library, every clip, sound, transition, and so on corresponds to a file somewhere in the local storage of your computer system. The library doesn't own these files and never modifies them unless specifically requested to do so. Rather, it keeps track of the names, locations, and properties as an internal database. The information stored also includes any tags and ratings with which you have annotated particular items and the parameters of any correction filters you have applied. For the database, the files that makes up the library database are stored in a folder with a single user rather than shared access rights under Microsoft Windows. If Pinnacle Studio is used on your computer by multiple users with individual logins, a separate library will be created for each. Also, missing media operations like adding, removing, and renaming a library asset are database operations that have no effect on the media file itself. When you remove an asset from the library, an option on the confirmation dialog box does let you go one step further and delete the actual file as well. But the option is off by default. You have to uh, specially request the action. By the same token, when you delete, move an asset file in Windows Explorer or another application outside of Pinnacle Studio, uh, the database record of the file continues to exist since the library can't actually access the file. However, an error graphics is added to the files listing if the file still exists but it's simply being moved to another folder or device. Relinking it to the library is easy. Double click the item to pop up standard file open dialog with which you can point the way to the file's new location. Incidentally, to check if there are missing media anywhere in the library, look in the special subsection all media, missing media of the asset tree, as you can see here. For the location tabs, so editing a video project involves coordinating the various media and other assets at your disposal. As you proceed, it's likely that you will find yourself browsing repeatedly in various parts of the library that are relevant to the project. No doubt you will also change your viewing and filtering options from time to time, depending on the material you are reviewing, like web browsing that uses a row of tabs to allow flipping effortlessly amongst multiple open websites. Library lets you create and configure location tabs as you work. The tabs provide direct access to each of the various locations in which you are currently working. So as you can see here, here three tabs give access to media required by different parts of this projects. The mouse pointer is poised to create a new tab. To close a tab, click the X icon to the right of the caption. To set the location of the current tab, click a name in the asset tree. Changes you make to viewing and filtering options while the tab is active. The retain between accesses, the navigator accesses also for the navigator. So the entire gamut of library assets is organized into an asset three rows folder. style structure and general usage should be familiar from file system system tools like Windows Explorer. When you select a location in the navigator, the folder name appears on the captions of the active location tab, and its content are displayed in the neighboring browser, as you can see here. So in the main library top, the navigator occupies the left, as you can see here, the left hand pane of the workspace. In the compact view button used by studio projects and media editing tools, the navigator is presented instead as a drop-down list on the active tab. For the project bins are virtual folders for your assets. They are created automatically during import, and you can create them manually to organize your assets accordingly to your needs, for example by project. So to create a project bin, in the project bins branch of the library asset tree, click the create a new project bin button, as you can see here. Type a name for your bin and click OK. The bin is added to the end of the project bin list. To rename a project bin in the project bins branch of the library asset tree, right click a project bin and choose rename. The correct name appears highlighted. Type a new name for the bin. To remove a bin in the project bins branch of the library asset tree, right click a project bin and choose remove a project bin. So for the collections, from the library points of view, collection is just an arbitrary grouping of assets, set of library items with no organizing principle. You may well have a good reasons for gathering certain files into a particular collection, but the library doesn't have to know what is it. Inside a collection, any asset can rub shoulders with any other. One special collection with the name latest import is automatically updated after each important operation to display the media added. Immediately after importing, you can turn to this collection and start working with the new material. Another automatically generated collection is latest smart creation, which stores with the media you selected for your most recent smart movie production. So to create a new collection, click the icon in the header line of the collections branch and enter a name in the provided text field. Complete the process by pressing enter. Alternatively, choose add to collection. Create a new collection from any assets context menu. To manage collections, right click a collection and choose a command for renaming or deleting the collection, or for creating a sub collection that has the current collection as its parent folder. To organize a collection, drag and drop a collection in the navigator with a mouse, and drag a collection becomes sub collection when you dropped open another. Displaying collection collected assets. Clicking the name of a collection causes it to be displayed in the browser as your mouse pointer passes over any listed assets. The collections to which the asset belongs light up in the navigator. For the operations and the collected assets, so these operations can be performed from the context menu of any collection item. To act on a group or of items, first select them with the mouse using Control click and Shift click for multiple selections as needed, or by dragging out frame around the items. Then right click within the selection to access the context menu. To add the collection, choose a target collection on the add to collection submenu. To add the selected item or items. Another tip is alternatively drag the selection onto the target selection. To remove items from a collection, click the remove command to remove the item or items from the collections. As usual with the library, use the underlying media items involved are not affected, so removing video or other item from a collection, the library does not deleting it from other library collections. For the favorites, using favorites is a quick way to mark and find your preferred content, such as your favorite effects, transitions, and titles. To mark content as favorite in the navigation panel of the library, open the content branch and click content type. In the browser area of the library, right-click thumbnail and choose Add to Favorites. Content marked as a favorite. Favorites appears at the top of the library. In the favorites folder, when the contents is organized by folder, each type of content has its own favorites folder that can be accessed from the corresponding content category, the navigator panel. As you can see here, the favorites section, favorites in the library, as you can see here. So managing library assets, media and other assets find their way into the library in several ways. For instance, the original contents of the content branch of the library are installed with Pinnacle Studio. The library automatically discovers some assets on your system by regularly scanning Windows standard media locations. They are set up on Pinnacle Studio installation as watch folders. Media files in these locations will automatically be brought into the library. You can add your own watch folders, see below, and they will be automatically updated too. Finally, you can import media manually by any of several methods. Watch folders, you can turn on watch folders to monitor directories on your computer. If you add media files such as video clips to watch folder or one of its subfolders, the files automatically becomes part of a media library branch in the asset tree, updating each time the application is launched, and while the application is running, watch folders are set up on the watch folders page of the setup control panel. For each folder that you add, you can specify that either one particular supported media type will be watched for, or all of them. Please also see chapter 12 setup on page 359 for more information. For the importing section, so if you need to import a large amount or variety of media, or to import from analog media such as the VHS type, click the import button near the top of the application window to open the importer. See chapter 10, the importer, on page 291 for full information. Quick import. So the quick import button, which is this one at the top left of the library, opens a window file dialog for fast import of files from a hard drive or other local storage. New folders are in the corresponding media categories. Photos, video, audio, and projects are created for the files specified. In addition, the imported items are included in the last import collection. Direct import via drag and drop to select and import items. No step. Use drag and drop from Windows Explorer or the desktop into the browser. The new items are immediately displayed in the collection. Last import, which is created for the occasions if necessary. Exporting directly from the library also. So any photo, video, audio file or project in the main library can be directly exported. as is, using the content menu commands described below to either a cloud-based storage service or a disk. For other exporting options, use the exporter instead by selecting the asset and clicking the exporter at the top of the window. See Chapter 11, the exporter, on page 337 for full information. To store a library asset on a disk, select Burn Disk on the context menu. You can burn just the file or a disk image if you have made one. If you select multiple assets and then select Burn Disk, all of the assets will appear on the burn files to the disk dialog. More assets can be added by clicking the file icon and browsing. You can also delete files from the list before burning. Removing items from the library. To remove an item from the library or selection containing multiple items, choose delete, select it from the context menu or press the delete key. Confirmation dialog lets you approve the list of the media files to be removed from the library database. By default, the files themselves will not be affected, but the remove from the library delete option lets you delete the files too. If desired, be careful as this command works on all kinds of library assets, including your Pinnacle Studio projects. If any of those are selected, when all the files in a folder are removed, the library hits the folder as well. You may also remove a folder and all the assets it contains from the library when removing the folder from the watch folders lists. However, this is not automatic, and you will be asked if you want to keep your current assets list in the library but still stop monitoring the location. For the browser, this is the area in which the library displays its media assets, the videos, photos, audio and projects, collections and content that are available for you to use in your movie and disk projects. The items are displayed either as a list of text records or as a grid of icons. Visual assets types use thumbnail images for their icons. Other type use graphic symbols. The library would not be much help if the browser displayed all its assets at once. It therefore has several controls that helps you screen out items that aren't relevant to your purpose. See choosing what to display below for details. Also, we have controlling the browser display. So a group of controls in the library's footer bar provides general functions for managing the way assets are presented in the browser. The info button available in the main library only toggles the display of a panel across the bottom of the browser pane, where details about the current assets are displayed. Assets are displayed, such as its caption, file name, rating, and tags or comments associated with it. The information may be edited and for some assets, you can also open the corrections tools by clicking the gear icon on the top left corner of the pane. The scenes view button applies, which is this one, to video assets only, while this button is active. Items in the browser present the individual scenes in particular videos, not the entire asset as usual. See the library preview on page 40 for more information. And the main library, this and the next two buttons are grouped at right between the info button and the zoom slider in the compact library. The three buttons are placed at left. The thumbnails view button switches to viewing assets as a thumbnail, which is this one. Thumbnails rather than as text lines. A pop-up checklist associated with the button lets you select the readouts and the controls that will be appear beside thumbnails in the browser. The details view button switches to the alternative viewing mode in which each asset appears as the text listing. The pop-up checklist with this button selects the text fields to be displayed. So also the zoom slider lets you magnify the bug for wider view. The slider always uh, found at the right end of the footer bar for the thumbnails and details. Each asset is displayed in the library browser in one of the two formats, depending on the view selected, because the icons of the thumbnails view the text circles of the details view represents the same assets. They have certain features in common. So for instance, the context menu for assets is the same regardless of which presentation is used. Similarly, standard media assets, video, photos, and audio, along with sound effects in the content branch, open an appropriate media editor for corrections when double-clicked. In either view, the corrections tools are also available when a media editor is invoked from the timeline, but when applied to a library asset, the corrections are carried forward into any future project that includes it. See corrected media file on page 19 for more information. And last, for the details, in details view, each asset is presented as one line as a list of text records. In thumbnails view, it appears as a thumbnail image, as you can see here. For visual media types or graphic icons, to switch the browser to details view, click the icon of the details view button at the bottom of the library arrow beside the button pop-ups panel listing the optional columns available to be included in the text records. On the column caption is always present. Check the boxes beside any of this: file size, type date, tax rating, and the duration you wish to be shown. So we complete the last parts in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next video.